Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Are you guys awake after lunch? You ready for a little afternoon nap? Looks like it. All right, okay, that's fine. I got some excitement over there. All right, hey, just quickly by way of introduction, as Brett mentioned, I'm from Hayward, Wisconsin, resort community in northern Wisconsin. Some of you might have been there, yeah. I grew up doing lumberjack competitions and exhibitions, so those of you who don't know that, that's if you're watching ESPN 6 at like 3 o'clock in the morning, chopping, sawing, log rolling, tree climbing, all the skills, the old-time lumberjack. My real claim to fame is I met my wife on reality TV. We did a show on MTV's The Real World. I was doing reality TV before Donald Trump was, making it cool, so we were ahead of our time. I met my wife there. We have 8 kids, and I've been in Congress since 2011 and have a great honor of serving on the House Financial Services Committee for all of my tenure in Congress. And by the way, we're going to be voting in about 8 minutes, so I'm going to go quick here. Listen, there's a lot of stuff that are happening. So I look at what tax reform has done for the American economy. If you talk to Paul Ryan or even the president, we all knew this was going to kickstart and grow the economy. We were going to unleash the wolves in this economy, but I don't think people really anticipated the bonuses, the $1,000, $2,000 bonuses. People didn't anticipate all the immediate pay raises and the contributions to 401ks. So that as that's growing, we also want to look at what's happening on the regulatory side in America and in American finance that we can help layer on top of the president's reg reform and our tax reform. And many of you have maybe followed what we've done in the House Financial Services Committee, the Choice Act, which was drafted by our chairman, Jeb Hensarling. I thought it was pretty aggressive and bold, but like most things we do in the House, those bills we pass out of committee and pass off the House floor, they normally go to the Senate, and in the Senate, what happens? They die. Nothing happens in the Senate. But Senator Crapo has been working on a bipartisan bill over there. Now, it's not as bold as what we've done in the House, which is common practice for the Senate, but it's actually a bill. And our hope is that with Senator Crapo's reg relief bill, we have 35 provisions that we had in the Choice Act that had wide bipartisan support. We're hoping that some of those bipartisan provisions can come up on the Senate floor as amendments to actually add a little more meat onto the bones of that Senate bill. And if not by way of amendment, when and if we go to conference with the Senate, to add in some, again, of those bipartisan provisions that we've passed in the House, which I think would, again, make a reg relief bill not skinny. We could make it kind of moderate weight at least, which I think would be great for all of you and I think for all of our financial services sector. So that is a priority for us as we're looking on the horizon. If any of you guys follow flood insurance, that falls squarely within our jurisdiction. So I thought it was going to be great to work on a flood reauthorization bill this last Congress. I got to tell you, I hate flood insurance right now. It has been a pain in the backside. We've got a bill through our committee. We got a bill across the House floor. But the Senate, again, doesn't really act too quickly, if at all. So we continue with reauthorizations of the program with the CRs that we do. I would tell you that I think we have to decouple the flood insurance program from the CRs so we can actually get some reform in the program. And again, I think it's common sense reform that takes into account folks who are living in flood-prone areas, but also the rest of the American taxpayer that subsidizes those homes in those areas. One of the pieces of legislation that I want you to keep your focus and eye on is we're working on housing finance reform, which I'm sure is near and dear to all of your hearts. And again, with the Dodd-Frank Act, the one space that wasn't addressed was housing finance, which is pretty shocking, right? I mean, if you look at the '08 crisis and you look at housing finance, this is a pretty big play in the '08 crisis, but nothing happened with regard to housing finance reform. And so we're looking at trying to bring in more private capital in a first dollar loss position. We do want to make sure we have a government catastrophic guarantee, so the government is in play. we're looking at using this Ginny model, which if you follow the DeMarco Bright plan, it kind of bases itself off of what DeMarco and Bright envisioned for housing finance reform. So that's going to come out hopefully in the near future. You guys can all take a look at it. Sometimes in Congress, we introduce bills and we say, hey, we'd love you to look at our legislation and give us your feedback, but we really don't care about your feedback. This is one where we want your feedback. Want to make sure that all of you take a look at it and give us your honest assessment of what we're doing and will it work. We understand that with our smaller financial institutions, they want access to the cash window. That's something we're trying to work out and make sure we can make everybody happy, and a topic that we'd like to talk about with all of you. If I could, were some of you guys at was the leadership at the White House yesterday? Is that what I heard? Yeah, talking about the CFPB. Yeah, that's great. Talking about the CFPB. Mick Mulvaney, who's now taking the short-term head of the CFPB, used to be a member of Financial Services with us. And I got to tell you, it's a real pleasure to have someone who has a common sense vision of reg reform at the CFPB. Isn't that nice? And just, Mick Mulvaney never gets applause out there, so that's a new thing for him, that people applaud him. But I tell you what, you guys, with credit unions, you're not in business if you don't take care of your customers, right? You abuse your customers and they go somewhere else. And the fact that you're getting ensnared with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, you do protect your consumers in regard to financial service products. It's insane. And to bring a little different perspective, you can come in and have a conversation with the administration and with the CFPB and give honest feedback about what works and what doesn't, because we all want to protect consumers, but we don't want rules and regulations that undermine your ability to serve your consumers, your members. And I think that's the mentality that Mick Mulvaney brings, at least in the short term, to the CFPB, and I think that's been a real positive. I know you're going to have Blaine Lukemeyer coming to see you, I think, later today or tomorrow. Data security is a big issue that's running through his committee. You can ask him some very tough questions as we look at notification and financial institutions and retailers and see how that's all going to play out. It's a really fun issue for us to handle. But that's also coming in the next, hopefully in the next several weeks. His bill will be introduced and we'll be able to address that for you. And if I can throw one other topic by you, it is common practice that when my great team from Wisconsin comes in to see me, we'll talk about two issues. We'll talk about credit union and taxes, and we'll talk about member business lending. And I just got to tell you, and I know that we had some issues come out of the Senate in regard to tax. Our view is there are so many big things that we have to get done that we need banks and credit unions to work together on. We need you guys all singing off the same sheet of music. Our Chairman Hensling, has basically said, listen, we're not dealing with those issues that divide credit unions and banks. So if you have one of those issues that are divisive, whether you're a credit union or a bank, don't bring it up because it's not happening. We need on the reg relief side you guys to all stick and stand and dance together. I think that's been a pretty smart play on his part, because again, if you guys all start fighting and we lose focus on some of the broader issues that we have to address, I think we don't get much of anything done. And so the letter or the commentary that came out of a good senator, I don't think would have much play in the House. Just a heads up for you guys. Yeah, you can call that. I have 53, 52, 51 seconds left. We all have to work together. And what's great about the Congress is when you have members who are willing to work with you, there's a great thing that can happen. You can have a wonderful idea, and if you're willing to share a great idea, whether it's on how we can affect a bad regulation and fix it, or how you have a great idea for new legislation, if you share that with a member of Congress, say like me, I love that, because I get to steal your great idea, look really smart, and I'm a winner, and you got your idea into legislation, and you're really smart, and we're all winners. But when we work together, when we collaborate together to make sure that we have regulation and legislation that works for the American people, we're all better off. So you can run those ideas up your leadership channels, or if you want to reach out to your member of Congress or to me, share those ideas. We're better off when the ideas are shared from all of you, because the best ideas don't come from Congress, they come from all of you. So please don't be afraid to share them. I want to thank you all for coming in. It's been great to have such a lively crowd after lunch. You've been amazing. I like that I have more people on my left than my right, or maybe that's a bad thing, on my right or my left. But again, thanks for coming out. Let's please work together. Let's share together. And again, let's win for the American people together. God bless and have a great convention.